Hello, Maya.
Hello, Sandra. How are you?
How are you? I'm good.
Great. Myself is Alhamdulillah.
وهلو لكل يلي joined us now. نحن live مع مايا حوا, our psychologist and family coach, our favorite expert in everything that has to do with teens, pre-teens, her journey to adulthood. It's always a pleasure and an honor to listen to you, Maya, especially the topics اللي بتنقيهم يعني كتير they are always interesting and important struggles that we go through as parents. اليوم موضوعنا منه هين. we all كل اللي عندهم أولاد يعني حتى ما عم ننطر للتينز we are facing these struggles with regards to social media. من عمر 8 سنين 9 سنين منلاقي أولادنا عم بيقضوا أكتر وأكتر وقت in the digital age. حبيت يعني حبيت your title كمان في محلات عم تكتبي إنه how do we parent in the digital age أو تسألينا هالسؤال. فاليوم this is a big struggle. قبل ما أتركك تعرفي عن حالك ونفوت أكتر بموضوعنا, أنا I just want to remind the new joiners to سيرة, لأنه we have new people دايما بيفوتوا بيحضرونا. رح نقضي مع مايا تقريبا 40 minutes 40 to 45 minutes where she will explain ونفوت أكتر بموضوع التينز والسوشيال ميديا. بهالوقت فيكم تتواصلوا معنا through the Q&A, تسألونا أسئلتكم على الاب. سو قدامكم في Q&A, فيكم تسألوا سؤالكم و you can ask your question anonymously لتحافظوا على هويتكم, لأنه نحن هلأ عم نسجل, وهالتسجيل فيكم ترجعوا تحضروه على الاب وكمان على يوتيوب. فهيك يلي ما قدر يكون معنا أو بده يرجع لمعلومات يقدر يرجع لها. So please ask us your questions anonymously لما يبين اسمكم. نحن رح نقضي 45 دقيقة قلنا هون بالراوند تيبل, and then we will move to a virtual room يلي هي safe space رح نخلقه. رح نقول لكم كيف كمان تنقلوا معنا. So it's a safe space بنخلقه خصوصي يعني بعد شوي where we don't record, ما بنكون عم نسجل, وفيكم تتواصلوا معنا through questions. فيكم تطلعوا معنا لايف على الكاميرا على الميكروفون, فيكم حتى تضلكم anonymously مثل ما أنتم بترتاحوا. المهم إنه نكون قراب من مايا ونسألها كل الأسئلة اللي عنا إياها ونحكي بهالمواضيع تنساعد بعض كأهل parenting in the digital age. Maya, just introduce yourself. خلينا نبلش. We're looking forward to our topic. عنا كتير أسئلة لإلك, وإن شاء الله كمان هيك نقدر نحكي معك أكتر in depth باللي عم نواجهه اليوم مع أولادنا.
Thank you, Sandra. Welcome, everybody. It's an honor and a pleasure, Sandra, to always work with Sira. يعني what you do, شو بتعطينا نحن as a community. I'm a member, but I'm also an audience. So all your experts are always, يعني ما بقول لك قد إيه نحن أنا personally, and I'm sure all the attendees اليوم معنا can share with me, but can agree with me on saying thank you to you for this amazing platform that you've created. You are giving us so many different places to come to and listen to the things and ask the right questions. We might or might not نكون نحن مرتاحين نسألهم يمكن out loud in public, or whether anonymous or not, the way you are normalizing everything and giving us a safe space. And I can't thank you enough personally. Oh, it's very much an honor.
We're honored to have
Very
you.
much honored. I'm a really honor for me to be a member of CEDA and of this movement and this change and everything that you are doing that you are creating in our community. So thank you on my behalf. I can speak on the behalf of everyone who's here as well. To briefly introduce myself, اسمي مايا حوا. I am a psychologist from the University of Houston. I'm an ICF certified life and executive coach, in the process of now working on my executive coaching certification, to expand on my executive coaching certification with NSEAD. I am also a certified from Cornell University in the psychology of leadership. Well, my favorite title of all, whether you've attended my workshops or not, is being a mother of 3 amazing kids. Amazing most of the time. This topic is very dear to my heart, Sandra. You know, I gave, this is one of the very first topics I gave when I started giving workshops I believe it was 9 years ago. And parenting in the digital age 9 years ago and today has changed drastically. So this is a very well needed informative session on your behalf and the roundtable. لأنه really and truly, as a parent, as an individual, I'm also concerned. And what is social media? شو عم تعمل فينا social media? What's it affecting our day-to-day lives? But as adults, how is it affecting our relationships? How is it affecting our relationships, our relationships with our partners, our relationship with our children, our relationship with our friends, our relationship with our professional life? قد ايه اليوم السوشيال ميديا بتتحكم فينا وقد ايه بتتحكم ب every part of our decision process when we are making day-to-day decisions. So this is a very interesting topic, and this is a topic that I invite من بعد ما نخلص informative session of 45 minutes roundtable share your experiences as well. And we're all parents, so as much as I know, as much as I have and experience I have, I learn from every individual. So please stay behind and share with us in the roundtable your concerns, your experiences, what your ideas are, what your opinion is, and how you believe as parents, what has worked for you as parents when it comes to parenting in the digital age. رح بلش بهيدي الانالوجي that I love very much. هيدي بناية. What is the digital world? What is the internet? What is social media? اعتبروا اليوم نحن أخذنا أولادنا whether عمرهم 3 سنين أو عمرهم 20 سنة، وصلنا على بناية مثل هاي البناية، وصلناهم على باب البناية and we drove off. Our children are walking, and I know I've used this analogy before when we spoke I don't remember which topic we talked about, but this building, inside this building, we have no idea how many doors there are, what's behind each door, what the hallways hold, what the staircases hold. Once they enter that room, what people they're going to be exposed to, what strangers are they going to meet, what are they going to learn from these strangers? That's what happens when we give our children a device. This is what happens when we give our children the ability to use social media. Social media is a compilation of strangers, of strange ideas, strange thoughts, strange experiences, exposures, strange changes in our behaviors, values, what happens to the value system of the child. أنا مني هون just to highlight the negative side of social media. So it does have its benefits, and we are going to talk about it. But the weight of social media is exactly this building. اليوم أنتو كل يوم على بكرة وقت أولادكم بيلقطوا, whether it be in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the middle of the night, on the weekends, whenever they are holding on to their devices and exploring, whether it be TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook or whatever platform they are using, they are being thrown in a building like this and making decisions by themselves, making their own decisions of what door they're going to open, what stranger they're going to meet, what conversation they're going to have with this stranger, what they're going to see, what they're going to hear, what they're going to do, and what they're going to walk out of this building at the end of the time that they are on their device. Take this experience. Every time they access social media, they are accessing a new set of information, and they are changing their behavior, which is affecting their behavior and affecting their value system. So نحن as parents, we are this team, this army as parents, and there's this huge army that's called the internet or social media. We're fighting it. We have to find ways to be able to accept it and work with it. لأنه it's there. It's a part of our children's lives, especially after the pandemic, where our children were confused. Our children went from being told you're not allowed to be on the screen. And when I gave my workshop 9 years ago, it was create, be able to limit your time. And this is a lot about today. But in reality, 2 years ago, when our children, the only source of social or any kind of out of their isolation was being able to use the internet and was being able to be in front of a screen and talk to people through a screen. So we are somehow dealing with a set of teenagers or a set of kids, no matter what age your children are, who are at a state of confusion. إنه أنا من سنتين كنتوا عم بتقولوا لي أقعد قدام السكرين وما تهز ودروس وركز والعاب الجيمز مع أصحابك لأنه you need to have that social time and use social media to see on in the world and learn what's going on in the world, to all of a sudden saying, you know what, لا, أنا هلا بدي أحط limit عليها, and this is what needs to happen again. So our children are at a state of confusion, but this remains the same. The social media is still that building that gives our children a sense of confusion, of not knowing as parents what we're exposing our children to, and not letting them understand what they are and are not allowed to do. Briefly, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the benefits of technology. لأنه there is benefits to technology. We are all using the benefits. Today, نحن قاعدين كل واحد ببيتنا وعم نقدر نستعمل technology in order to benefit and grow. And this is a benefit of it, whether we like it or not. What the effects of social media is on our children. The numbers, a little bit about شوية statistics, cyberbullying. And I always talk about cyberbullying, even though we've done a whole workshop on bullying, but I do want to bring this into this because it is very important when it comes to social media and how it affects our children, our teenagers, what your teens say, what your teen says, what my teen says, and what teens in the world are saying today about social media, how parents can help. And finally, how to foster the culture of digital citizenship. Why is it important to create the right kind of citizens when they're holding on to their digital devices? The benefits of technology. They do help children become better problem solvers. It teaches them problem-solving skills. Whenever they do encounter something, and how they deal with it is a part of the problem-solving skills that they are having to learn. When they are in a chat with friends, or when they're seeing someone on a social media platform, comment, it is creating that sense of how do I deal with this? What do I do about it? How do I solve this problem? What kind of interaction do I want to have? Who am I as an individual in this space that I'm being a part of, whether it be a WhatsApp group or an Instagram account or Snapchat? What are people saying to them, and how are they dealing with these issues that they're going through? So it does create skills in order to solve problems better. Social skills. A lot of teens do need social media, or use social media, I should say, as a way to get accepted socially. What they're not necessarily able to show face to face, they're able to do on social media. So it does create a sense of alignment with some people. Maybe they don't see at school. So there is an impact, there's a positive impact on the social skills of the child. They might be able to say the screen that they might not be able to say face to face. And this does help create that ability to fit into a certain social clique, if you want, that typically they would not urge to go up to and try, whether if they were at school or it does. A lot of teenagers today are how they feel through a lot of their posts on social media. So is this good? It can be a little bit good. Why? Give them the confidence to say, you know what, I'll put it out there on social media, and then I'll act upon it once I'm in public. So it does create a confidence in children. And then for the children, or for the teenagers who are to set boundaries and who are able to clearly manage, it does create that time, that mindset of, okay, right now I'm going to be able to be on, my social media platform for 30 minutes, then I'm going to switch off, disconnect, and actually study. The teens who are able to do that can benefit from this and can learn time management skills if, again, I say they are able to, and again, they are taught to be able to manage their time efficiently and effectively. What is the impact of social media? This is the negative side of it. It interferes in peer-to-peer interactions. This is a bit contrary. Yes, it is true. There is a contradiction there, because it can be used in a healthy way, or it can affect teens in ways where sitting a peer at school or in a social gathering, a lot of people say, أنا ما بعرف أحكي مع صاحبتي وقت بنقعد مع بعضنا in a restaurant. But over chat, I can chat all day. Or over social media, we can comment on things all day to each other. But the moment we sit face to face, we're not able to interact together. نحن as adults, sometimes we can sit there and chat with our friends or comment on things we see on social media. But the moment we're sitting with the person face to face, there is a sense of awkwardness, because behind a screen, there's no judgment. You're not able to see a person's body language. You're not able to see true reaction. So teenagers today are able to use social media, but then in reality, once they're out in the real, they're unable to, or it's limited to how much they can do it. increase the vulnerability to cyberbullying. So a teen who is active on social media is more vulnerable to face cyberbullying, whether it be being bullied or being a bully himself. A lot of teenagers today, and I've said this before, we talked about the different bullying in the workshop and the training, and you can find it on the platform as well, is that a lot of teenagers today, the fear of their devices and the fear of social media and the fear of the comments that people are putting on their posts or on what they're circulating about from their posts, they're using their posts and circulating, or what they click like to, or how many likes they get. All of this is creating a space for cyberbullying. And children and teenagers, I keep saying children because they are children to me, are still affected by this. Cyberbullying is on a great increase and had gone to sleep for so long because we needed the cyber world. We normalized the need for it, and we normalized the okay to use it because we needed it. We needed our children to learn and study and socialize and do all those things on the devices. But today it's on the rise, saying what they want to say. Children are not filtering what they want to say. Teenagers are circulating, creating groups on social media, on Snapchat. They have certain people who want to see things. They hide their stories from different, all forms of cyberbullying that teenagers are being affected from. I had read a review recently on, I believe I can't remember if it was the New York Times or the Harvard Business Review, that a young man, first year of college, was saying how difficult it was for him during his high school years because his interests weren't very similar to his peers' interests. So he was bullied a lot. He was excluded a lot on a lot of events. And he would see on social media these events where his friends were going and he wasn't going. And when he approached and asked, he was blocked and outed by it. And it did affect him drastically on his mental health. As I said earlier with the building, as soon as our children are on social media, they are exposed to things. They live in this, as parents, we all protect our children and we create this safe environment for them. What they can switch the TV off when there's something bad on, or if we're driving by and we see something that's inappropriate, we pull them away and we protect them from whatever scene we don't want them to see. Well, on social media, it's all there, whether it be violence or inappropriate content. Children are seeing things and this is becoming a norm to them and accepted to them. Being aggressive behavior that they see on social media today, a lot of children find it comical, and a lot of teenagers are confused by, my parents are telling me this is wrong, but then it's all over social media. So what's right or wrong? Disrupted sleep routine. Teenagers are on these social media platforms late hours. And the scrolling, with TikTok, if you've ever used TikTok, you know that it is addictive. Once we're on it, it's the next one, and then it's the next one. It's that gratification that we get from being able to get this small bits of information that grow our knowledge. A lot of our teenagers today, if you sit with them, they'll tell you things that they've learned from social media, which is a benefit. But at the same time, these children are learning just the title, that big, bold title about the topic, and they're not learning the information. And the impact of it is they're learning the things the wrong way, and it is disrupting their sleep. They're staying up at night. They're not being able to sleep early. The screen in and of itself, the effect it has on the brain, and in order for the brain to shut down and go to sleep, being on social media before they sleep and then trying to shut down takes them another hour into going into a deep sleep or REM, and their brain actually going into that comfort zone, really in deep sleep. So it is disrupting sleep routine, and it is changing their mental health because of the lack of sleep or the disrupted routine that they're facing. Distorted ideas of people's lives. They see these people on social media who have this beautiful life, and everything is all perfect. And in reality, okay, yes, there is a lot of awareness of this is not true, and this is filters, and this is this and that, but then it's there. They see this influencer who has this extravagant life, who travels and does all these things, but then they don't highlight the negative side of her life. They don't highlight the exhausting part of her life. Children are, this person has this or this person has this. I think they can relate to them because they feel that they know them through media exposure. They know these influencers, they know everything. And if you actually sit and discuss with your teenager, they are convinced that they know, and they know everything about them But in reality, they do not know the other side of it, the flip side of it. There's two sides of it. There's the positive and there's the negative. Yes, they're learning about certain trends and certain things, but at the same time, they're forgetting that these people who are up there doing this all the time are actually exhausted from it. And it's not really a reality. It's not true. It's not true that their lives are perfect. Parenting. If we go into these influencers who talk about parenting, you think they're all perfect parents and there's no conflict in their homes and children don't give them a hard time and everything is perfect. And then we feel as parents that we're failing as parents and we're not doing the job that this parent has this beautiful, perfect life and this organized life and never have, tantrums or it's not true. We all know that's not true. So take that and put it with your teenage mind and just think about what they're going through and how it's affecting their mindset. Peer pressure. There's a lot of peer pressure from social media. Children today, before they go to school, the peer pressure was just there, wanting to things like vape or drink or alcohol or drugs or sex or all the things that we try to implement in our children as their value system. Today, the peer pressure is onto social media. So they're seeing it, when they see friends, things or using substances or doing it not within our value system, they are feeling pressured, right? It's not just exposure at school, it's now exposure online as well. High levels of anxiety and depression. There was a study done that says 12% of this was done in England and in the United States. 13%, of teenagers said that they had suicidal thoughts due to what they were exposed to from social media, and 6% of Americans had it. And these are the reported numbers. And I believe it's inflated a lot more. It's a lot bigger than that. But these are the numbers, and these in and of themselves are drastic. If you're talking about 13 out of 100 kids who are having suicidal thoughts, that's quite a big number that we do need to be concerned about. What are the numbers? Just briefly, 87% of teens own a smartphone. 87%.
إذا فينا نرجع بس لورا، عنا كم سؤال لك. مايا اليوم بالكلينيك a lot of parents عم بيسألونا they are asking بالكلينيك عندك شو بتشوفي أكتر إمباكت أو تيجوا الولاد لعندك أو الأهل يجيبوا التينز لعندك، أي إمباكت أكتر شيء بتشوفيه؟ is it مثلا inappropriate content ولا is it anxiety؟ وين بتشوفي الإفكت لا يوصلوا لعند psychologist؟ هيدا أول سؤال ورح نسألي كذا حدا، عنا كذا سؤال من الأهل.
Let me start. Anna, the three that I would say I have seen the increase in teenagers coming to me. The first one, the exposure to violence and inappropriate content and interfering with high levels of anxiety and depression. During the pandemic, شفنا كتير teenagers resorting to self-harm. And this was due to their social media exposure, because there are social media accounts where teenagers, when they're feeling isolated or lonely, are resorting to these places, and they do target our kids. It's there, it's out in the open, our children are able to access them. So it's شفنا a great increase. I can't remember the numbers, I'm sorry, but Anna, in my clinic, in my office, I've seen a great increase, or I saw a great increase. هلا بلشت تخف شوي، بس شفنا كتير rise of self-harm that teenagers were resorting to in order to comfort themselves and feel better about themselves, or just at least externalize the pain that they're feeling on the inside. The second thing I would say is bullying. Bullying was definitely a big problem for teenagers during the pandemic, and today even more. We're seeing that it's on the rise لأنه social media, like I said, هول الولاد بيجوا لعندي بيقولوا لي بس هيدي البنت بتعمل هيك وهذا الشاب بيعيش هيك وهذا, again, distorted ideas of what the people are doing. Therefore, they're feeling, they're isolated and they're not a part of the group, so they're feeling bullied. Plus, and they're feeling isolated. On top of that, they feel like they are being bullied. So they have this what we call catastrophizing. They have this, they catastrophize. بيروحوا على الشيء way, thinking they have it and I don't, they do it and I don't, I'm not cool, I'm not in, I'm there. They start to behave and we're bullied. That's the effect of it. And the third one, Akida, is anxiety. And we saw depression less, anxiety, we saw it on a great increase. post-pandemic especially. Children are not able to deal with what they see on social media and what they see in reality. بيشوفوا أشياء على social media, بيشوفوا parties that they're not being invited to, بيشوفوا أشياء that they're not feeling like they fit in, and that's creating anxiety, and that's creating anxiety academically for them as well. And we've seen all three. Personally, I've seen all three of those. Numbers out there say the same thing.
اوكي، وسؤال كمان لك، انه اليوم عم تلاقي انه هالتين، يعني نحن وقت نسمع منك تين او امباكت على التينز بنتخيل انه هن كبار 14 بلس 15 بلس، يعني هالايج جروب. هل عم تشوفي هالإفكت على اصغر؟ عم تشوفي هالشيفت اليوم حتى على younger kids؟
Definitely. And I would say, and this is why I use the word children, I would say it's preteen and teen. لأنه today, an average child at the age of 9, on average, a child at the age of 9 is able to be exposed to these things. وبرجع بقول لكم لأنه قطعنا بالبانديميك، ولأنه أولادنا من عمر ال6 سنين لطلوع تعودوا يستعملوا هالديفايسز، صارت لهم نورمز. ظهرنا من البانديميك وأولادنا صار عندهم a normal reaction إنه يلقطوا تليفونهم، يلقطوا اللابتوب، whatever device they use, and socialize, play these things. So preteen, يعني as young as 8 and 9-year-olds, شوفهم being affected by all of these. Is it their fault? There's nobody to blame. It's not about being anybody's fault. It's about deal with it. نرجع شوي، نرجع ل9 سنين أنا وهذه training session. كيف بدنا نرجع to that mindset or recreate the normalization and the boundaries of social media and exposure to with our children.
يعني اليوم الأهل اللي عم يسمعونا مايا واقعين مثل بين يعني بين تو، إذا بدك قسمين، مقسوم، إنه مقسوم الإحساس تبعهم من ميلة إذا حرموا أولادهم من الفون عم بيكونوا الأولاد بوليد لأنه ما معهم تليفون، أو بحسوا حالهم ايزوليتد وهن مش عم بيتابعوا وما عم بيقدروا تكونكت مع كل هالجيل تبعهم يلي اوريدي على السوشيال ميديا. ومن تاني ميل إذا عم ينعطى التليفون بكير أو access to social media بكير، بذات الوقت عم نشوف هالإفكت من inappropriate content، من bullying، من anxiety. طب كيف الأهل بدهم يتعاملوا مع إذا بدك هالكونفليكت؟ وفي أهل بعد، يعني ما بعرف إذا هون فيك تشددي. هلو؟ No problem. You're on mute.
I apologize.
No worries.
I was on 3G. I apologize. Okay.
No worries. يعني هالأهل يلي واقعين بكونفليكت، كيف بدك يعني كيف بدنا نقطع لهم المسج عن أهمية to really monitor or manage social media، ما يكون subject ما بدنا نطلع فيه.
هلا بنحكي فيهم if you allow me to Sandra continue، لأنه هلا جاي كيف بدنا نعمل نحن كأهل تنقدر قد ما فينا to create the right boundaries when it comes to our teens and their social media behavior. But briefly to give numbers, 87% of teens own a smartphone. يعني 9 out of 10 تقريبا 8.5 out of 10 teens own a phone today. And when I say teen, it means teen and preteen. يعني اليوم نحن when I talk about teens, I talk about 10 plus. So a 10-year-old, 8 out of 10-year-olds have a phone today or access to social media or a platform. Non-school related screen time among teenagers doubled from 3.8 to 7.7 hours a day post-pandemic. وأنا ما عم بحكي هون screen time يعني يوتيوب، عم بحكي TikTok, Snapchat, and the likes of those. 95% of teens have daily access to smartphone. 40% of teens report being online almost constantly. يعني during class, at school, in bed, at home, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, everywhere. On average, 5 billion snaps are created every day. يعني أنا واليوم ابني إذا فتح Snapchat لكو قد he's exposed to new snaps every single day, 5 billion snaps. In 2020, TikTok overtook YouTube as the most used app by teens and preteens with 105 daily usage minutes per child. TikTok had a total of 78.7 million users in 21. around 37.3 million of these were between the ages of 10 to 25. Yani half of the TikTok users today are children between the ages of 10 to 25. 25 is not a child, but in that age bracket. Female users between the ages of 10 and 19 make up TikTok's largest demographic. And this is where we talk about how girls are facing, what girls are going through, and this is what I meant by what I've been seeing in my office as far as how it's affecting it. What they see between the ages of 10 and 19 on TikTok as girls, it's affecting them a lot more than boys. And 80% of 12 to 15-year-olds play video games online. This is also exposure to violence and inappropriate behavior on social media. Cyberbullying, 23% of teens have been bullied, and these are very recent numbers. 4.9 they've cyberbullied themselves. 55% of cyberbullying victims between ages 14 and 15. Yani 55% of the times that people are being cyberbullied, children are being cyberbullied, it's between the ages of 14 and 15. 55% of them are at that age bracket. 23% of girls and 21.9%, 22% of boys between the ages of 13 and 17 report being cyberbullied. And the numbers are great, guys. Cyberbullying is out there. Whatever's happening with our children, whether it be anxiety, whether it be their behaviors are changing, it is because of what they're seeing, what they're being exposed to, and how they are behaving on their social media platforms, what they're doing, how they're doing it. I'll give you another number. 5 times more behavior problems is what we've been seeing due to social media. So before, an average attention span of an average 12-year-old was 12 minutes. 10 years ago, it was 12 minutes, the attention span. So you could sit your 12-year-old for 12 minutes and study with them or read with them or gather their attention for that long. Today, it's 5 minutes. So we've gone less than half amount in the attention span of a child, yet we expect them to sit down and study. We expect them to sit down and focus in class, and we expect them to do all those other things. Why? Because there is an instant gratification when it comes to social media, the swiping effect, the ability to, I'm not interested, I go to the next topic. I don't want to talk to her, I get offline, I go talk to somebody else. I don't want to deal with him right now, I just pretend I'm not online, I block him and I'm not there. These things are decreasing the attention they're able to put into the things that are not as interesting to them. So therefore, what's the effect? More addiction to social media. I know what في شيء تاني not interesting. I'm going to resort back to something I really love and something that's giving me that much gratification. I'm going to go to it. Don't forget, these are people whose logic, when we talk about teenagers, we talk about their ability to reason and use logic, which is still developing. And they don't have that ability to reason and use logic when it comes to doing what they do every day in their lives. So whenever they feel like something is boring, whenever they're studying, I've had teenagers sit in my office and tell me, I cannot study. I can't focus. There's too much in my mind. What is it that's too much in your mind? They're unable to focus. Today, we have 7% more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD as a teenager. A lot of schools are sending notes to or messages or meeting with parents saying your child needs to see a specialist. We believe they have ADHD. 7 times more. Yani, عم تتخيلوا قد ايه numbers are increasing because of our children's. I know I'm making it very negative, but I have to do this before I tell you what we need to do. That our children are affected. And what do we do when someone tells us our child has ADHD? We take them to a psychiatrist and we medicate them. What do we do when we medicate them? With all due respect to every psychiatrist and everybody in the special, of course, I'm not discounting that that's important, but when we know the problem, why don't we try to solve the problem? Even if we have to medicate, that's fine. But at the same time, we have to deal with the problem itself, not mask the problem or numb the problem down with medication. So what are we doing? We don't know what to do. We don't know the reason. We say it's post-pandemic. What is it about post-pandemic that created these insecurities in the children? Where are all these new behavioral changes coming from? From all of these devices, and from not only this, of course, but this plays a very large part of why our children are who they are today.
عندنا سؤال مايا بعتقد جاوبتي عليه هلا. Do you think social media is one factor that has increased the likelihood of having mental health disorders?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I believe that it is very largely responsible. okay, the pandemic had a big effect on our kids. Our kids had to deal with a lot of change. وإذا نحن عايشين بلبنان بنعرف كمان نحن بشو قطعنا وقد إيه أولادنا تأثروا. بس وين راحوا for comfort? على social media. Where did the children go to find comfort? I have teenagers who tell me, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to sit on my bed and scroll on TikTok or watch Instagram or watch YouTube videos. Our children have found this safe place where they feel accepted, they feel welcomed, and they feel comfortable. They're not judged. They're okay. They do whatever they want. They feel they fit into whatever world they want to fit into. Some of these worlds they're not supposed to fit into. Some of these worlds don't align with our value system at home. So what do our children do? They isolate themselves and they sit in their rooms. Is it normal behavior for our children to sit in their rooms in their teen years? Yes. Is it normal behavior to sit to that extent and be antisocial to that extent? No. So where is the right where مش هيك قلت لكم لازم نرجع على من 9 سنين شو كنا عم نعمل ومن 10 سنين شو كنا عم نعمل قبل ما عشنا هالبانديميك وقبل ما عشنا الكرايسيس وقبل ما عشنا كل التغييرات اللي ولادنا قطعوا فيهم without blaming them for what's happening. But in reality, we need to go back to the roots and work on the way we used to work on them in the past. In the past, we did manage our children's social media activity. In the past, we did manage how much they were on their screen. Today, we're all used to it. نحن بنقعد مع تليفوناتنا كل النهار. كيف بعد أولادنا ما رح يقعدوا مع تليفوناتنا؟ أنا إذا فيلم البيت ونسي تليفوني بالبيت بحس حالي ضايعة. ما بصدق كيف برجع وبلاقي لها التليفون. So these are things that we as individuals who have the logic and the reasoning ability who are not able to as much put boundaries as we used to in the past. How are our teenagers expected to do this? Through us, through the way we parent them and the boundaries we create. Did I answer that question? So here's what the teens say. Thank you. So here's what the teens say. It's social acceptance. If you're not present and active online, you're out socially. If you don't know what the style is, if you don't know what to wear, where to go, who to talk to, if you're not friends with this person on social media, who is the leader, if you want, in your peers, then you're socially out. So we need social media to feel like we are connected socially and accepted socially. It's the easiest way to communicate. A lot of teenagers, like I said, will come to me and say, أنا بقدر أكون على social media comfortable مع الكل. ليه؟ لأنه there's no judgment. She can talk to anybody and feel comfortable joking and laughing and aligning with whoever it is she wants to online or he wants to online. But the moment they're sitting face to face, they're not able to talk. How many times have we walked into restaurants and saw a bunch of kids sitting around a table, each one of them on their phones? They don't interact. They do not know how to communicate anymore, or the forms of communication has changed. It's, oh, did you see this? Or did you see that? Observe your children when they sit with their friends. A lot of them are actually on their phones while they're sitting with everybody. Express yourself. They're able to express themselves. They say that on social media, I feel not judged, accepted, and I'm able to be who I am and the way I want to be. Is this good? Yes, we want our children not to feel judged. Is it good? At the same time, no, because our children, like I said, they're opening a door that might or might not be the right door for them. And because it's normalized in this room, whatever it is, behavior that's going on in that room, our children, our teenagers are thinking this is normal. And then as we know, the algorithm is once they slow down on a scroll, whatever it is they do on social media, then they start to see a lot of sponsorships that pop up that are related to that specific thing that they slowed down on. So the way it goes is if I'm on social media, I'm not giving a digital workshop here, but if I'm on social media and I'm scrolling down, and if I slow down a millisecond on a specific whatever it is post I'm looking at, then I will see more posts related to that post. If my 15-year-old slows down on something that doesn't align with my values, or doesn't align with our culture, or doesn't align with what we feel is acceptable or is not acceptable, or even they're confused in themselves, not knowing if this is normal or not, or if they're accepting this or not, if they can relate to this or not, what they're doing is by slowing down, social media and all these platforms are throwing more posts and more posts. And as we know, the more we're exposed to things, the more they're normalized, the more they're accepted, the more we feel like this is who we are and where we belong. So this is, as much as this is wonderful that we do want them to feel like they are socially accepted and they communicate easily and they can express themselves, we have to be able to change the paths and the ways to do that. How do we get our children to go back to the normal interaction? What can we do? So بعد ما خبطت لكم الدنيا هلا رح أخبركم شوي شو فينا نعمل as parents. Set reasonable limits. Guys, 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, we used to tell our children, you're allowed on your devices half an hour or an hour or an hour and a half, depending on the age of the child. A 15-year-old does need to be monitored. An 18-year-old does need to be monitored, especially if we feel they're not able to create boundaries. Like I said, during the pandemic, those boundaries were crushed. Their norms became being in front of a screen all day. Now we're having to recreate and reestablish new norms within their minds and within their what's normal to them and what their aspect of what is good and what is right or wrong. So setting reasonable limits for them, saying, guys, we're going to compete as a family. We're going to see at the end of the day who was able to be the least on their phones. I'm going to put my limit on 2 hours today. I want you, what do you think you can do? Start to create things like that. Make it fun, make it, as much as you can. They don't respond, enforce it, guys. Impose our children's limits on social media. If you have a teenager at home, create whatever it is you believe is the right timing at night for their phones to be shut off. They need to be able to disconnect from that world. When they come home from school, their activities, those things need to come back to normal, guys. We cannot allow our children to use social media as an activity. Social media is an added something into our lives. It's not the life itself. And our teenagers today believe that that's the life itself. So we need to try to recreate that. Monitor your teen's account. كثير بيجيني أسئلة من أهل أنا إنه مايا أنا بحق لي شوف شو عم بيعملوا أولادي على السوشيال ميديا. Absolutely, you have to know who they follow. Go into their account. Go into your. If you follow them, go and شوفوا who are they following. Who's following them? What are they putting on their social media platform? If they have a private account, and a lot of teenagers, guys, have private accounts that we as parents don't know about, and I tell the parents, great, tell them, if I'm not there, you can't have it. And I had a teenager tell her mom, I don't want my mom to be on my account. It's not cool. So her mom created a different account under a different name, and she allowed her to follow her. So she was able to see what her daughter was doing online and what people were commenting on her posts and what she was being told and who she's following and who she's putting stories with and what she's liking through that. So monitor your teens' accounts. It's important, guys. It's not a matter of controlling our teenagers. It's a matter of recreating boundaries so where we create a safe place for our children, and the safe place is no longer the social media. Creating no zones in homes. This is something that I used to, I can't tell you guys how much I used to preach this in the past. The kitchen, the bathroom, the family room. No phone zones. Put your phones away. This is time for family to sit down, to talk, to eat, to, don't bring phones into the bathroom. Don't bring phones into the kitchen. ونحن as أهل إذا نحن نبلش نعملها ونقول لهم أنتم ما فيكم تعملوا مثلنا, they will have to. We have to enforce it. We are parents and we can't set these rules. Filter-free open communication. Allow them to tell you what's going on. ما تحطوا filter. خبرون what's happening. خليهم هن يخبروكم. They need to be able to tell us what they're seeing and what they're doing. ما نخوفهم اللي عم بتشوفون ما بيسوا لا, let's not talk that language. Let's speak their language. They speak a language that's similar to what an adult that we would not want our children exposed to today speaks. So the more we allow them to come and tell us what they're seeing, and we talk about what we saw. أنا فيني اليوم إجي مع تينيجر تبعولي وقل له أنا امبارح أنا وقاعدة بالتخت أما أنا وقاعدة على whatever شفت شيء على الانستغرام هيك شو رأيك مام فيها هيدي؟ أنت برأيك هيدي صح تكون على السوشيال ميديا؟ أنت برأيك هيدي البوست اللي حطوها it's a good thing for us to see. What do you think about it? هون بيطلع منهم هن شو عم بيشوفوا بيخبرونا تقريبا هن وين صاروا الفاليو سيستم تبعولهم. We need to be able to understand where they are and where they stand. There's a lot of kids who aren't attached to social media, but if they're not, there's a reason for it. Is it something that triggered them to have a negative perspective of social media? If it's nothing large or they weren't exposed to anything and they haven't disconnected for that reason, then that's great. If not, try to figure out what it is. What has happened? What is it? What effect is social media having on their life? What benefits does it have? And what disadvantage does it have? And we need to preach these. يعني هو اللي بدنا نحكي ونحكي non-stop لأولادنا تيفهموا إنه إذا ما بتحطوا boundaries هذا الشيء منه منيح. It's a drug. It's equal to any drug our children are exposed to. Encourage face-to-face contact with friends. Let them do activities with friends. Invite friends over. Take them out places. Do things for them that is social media, free of social media. Let them not be on their phones. Let's create games again for them, outdoor activities again, sitting down, having nice conversations over dinner with them and their friends. If not with us, let them do it on their own. Let them plan things that don't incorporate social media. Encourage your children when you're out with your friends, ما تنزلوا posts, ما تقعدوا على تليفوناتكم. Sit with your friends, talk to them, recreate communication skills and social skills that are real and not as fake and virtual, if I should say. And then model the behavior, guys. نحن as parents, أنا as a parent أنا في لكم إنه أنا بآخر النهار بيجي بفتح سكرين تايم تبعولي وفرجيهم لأولادي أنا شو عملت على تليفوني. Is it their business what I do? No. Is it important for them to understand and know I create boundaries for myself? Therefore, when I expect you to create boundaries, it's because of your mental health and I'm worried about you. And I do want you mentally healthy. Yes, I encourage parents to do that. Create challenges within the family. See how much each one of them is doing what. كلنا بنعرف إنه إذا بنفوت على قد ايه عملوا screen time فينا نعرف exactly على شو عملوا بتليفونهم. Were they on TikTok? Were they on WhatsApp? Were they on Snapchat? What were they doing? Monitor those things and challenge each other as a family. And if the challenge doesn't work, impose it. Say you're allowed 20 or 30 minutes of TikTok. You're allowed 30 minutes of WhatsApp or whatever it is, and give them the reasons, give them the numbers, tell them how much it's affecting their attention span, how it's creating negative effects in their mental health, how things are changing and the world is being created in a not healthy way. What you're seeing is not real. Therefore, it's distorting your thoughts and your expectations and your anticipations in life. And then communicate the importance of digital citizenship. This is something that we spoke about tremendously. I think it was in 2002 or 2002 or 2003, Harvard University rescinded 7 students' acceptances because of their activity on Facebook. So digital citizenship is a very important thing. Just as I give a passport to my child when they're born, I also give them a passport the moment they're on social media or they have a device. And just as I would teach my child, for example, let's say my 17-year-old, before I teach them, when I start to teach them how to drive, so at 18-year-olds, they get their driver's license and they go out and they drive a car. I teach them what the stop sign means, what it is, what, the road safety, where to stop, where not to stop, what area to go to, what area not to go to, how to use the car itself. What does it mean? How to fill gas, when to fill gas, how often to drive. All these things we are teaching our children when they're driving a car. Why not teach them when they're using devices? When I teach my child to live in a certain place, I'm teaching them the values and the rules and the regulations of this particular place. Why not teach them that just as I would teach you that, I also need to teach you what it means to be a digital citizen. And how do I teach you how to do that? Online etiquette. We need to teach our children what online etiquette is. What is allowed to say, what is not allowed to say, what is allowed to be posted, what is not allowed to be posted. I have young 14-year-old girls who come and tell me, I post pictures at the beach. And when we talk about it and I make them understand that, why is it not necessarily appropriate to expose your body on the beach to the whole entire world? Because you've got millions and millions and millions, and to an extent, billions of people who are sitting there and looking at you in your bathing suit. Your account is private. Even if it's private, there are people who know how to hack into accounts and they have access to that. And whatever you post on social media is a part of your digital footprint. So whenever you're going to apply for college, or whenever you're going to apply for a job, or whenever you're with a partner, or whatever it is, not that, we want to teach our children to worry about judgment, but at the end of the day, who you are on social media is a reflection of how people will perceive you. So whenever you're applying to college, that digital footprint is a part of who you are. A lot of companies today, before they would do a background check on people when they're going to hire them, today they do a digital background check on them. They see their activities, they see who they follow, they see what they have. I'll share with you a story at the end. Happened with a client of mine's son. I'll share it with you at the end, which was shocking to all of us. Anyways, online etiquette is very important. What's okay and what is not okay to do. I'll share with you the story now that we're talking about etiquette, actually. A client of mine who has a 14-year-old son, they were flying out of Europe. As a joke, he held Snapchat. He took a picture of the plane, and as a joke, because in slang or in modern, teen language, he said, "I'm going to blow this thing up." What he meant was he's going to have a blast on his vacation. Within 30 minutes, they had 12 Interpols coming in, arresting the parents and the child, not arresting them, holding them into a room. They kept them there for 5 hours. The child at the age of 14 was put on a wall for 2 hours while he was searched. They went through his phone. They found everything that was even an indication of something that could be a terrorist or something that could have a link to terrorism, and they accused them of it. And then they had a court case, which was a question, which was going to debate whether or not this child will have this on his record as he has terrorist aggressive behavior or not. So this is something that a 14-year-old was making an innocent joke, an innocent comment to his friends. Online etiquette is very important. What is and what is not okay to put online is a very important thing for our teens to understand. It's not a joke to make comments like that. It's not a joke to make comments about somebody else's body. It's not a joke to make comments about somebody else's lifestyle. Privacy. It's important for our children to understand that there's some things that we do put out and some things we do not put out in the public eye. There are certain parts of our bodies, there are certain activities we do that are private. People don't need to know about them for several reasons. Like I said, the digital footprint, when they understand that whatever goes on social media can, even if you delete it, they think, oh, خلاص أنا بحطها بعملها delete, أما بعمل story وبشيلها بعدين. That's there. It is in the cyber world. And whenever a company or a university or anything is looking them up, they can go back and find everything they have posted in the history of their digital footprint. So once we tell our children that and we raise awareness on the importance of what you put and how you want to be portrayed, they don't understand. They don't care what their company is going to look at. But once you tell them the story about Harvard University rescinded the students because of something they put on Facebook after they were accepted into Harvard, that's a big indication that our children need to be careful in what they put on social media. And then the digital health and wellness. Once we show them the numbers and the statistics of what the digital world is doing to us, how it's changing, how our lifestyles have changed, how our activities, our attention span, who we are and what we do has changed drastically as individuals. That is an awareness. Our children are smart. Our children want to be mentally healthy. Our children want to have a normal life. But unfortunately, they've been sucked into this world of what's normal today. We as parents are responsible to help them create the right boundaries in order to recreate the norms back to what it was pre-pandemic. That's all we're supposed to do as parents. And as much as I can speak about this, I can speak for hours and hours about it. But in reality, it's time for us to actively parent our teenagers, and put strict boundaries on how much they are and are not allowed. And it is okay for us to be butting into their privacy and understanding what they're doing on social media.
أكيد مايا، الموضوع كتير مهم مثل ما قلتي. يعني قد ما نحكي بضل في اشياء تنحكى وجايد لاينز تنعطى. و this is يعني في كومنت اجريكي من somebody from the audience انه اليوم يلي مؤسف كمان هو الاهل. انت حكيتي كثير عن modeling, how parents are modeling, كيف الاهل عم بيتصرفوا، وحتى الاساتذه. يعني في اساتذه مدرسه كيف التصرف تبعهم على السوشيال ميديا، التلاميذ تنظر لهم كجايدنس او بيشوفوا هالتصرف كمان بيعيدوا مثله. سو يعني اليوم قد ايه هالاشياء مهمه.
We are the examples for our children. أنا إذا أولادي بيشوفوني أنا وبالمطبخ عم باكل وعم بطبخ وعم بعمل التليفون معي وعم بتفهم whether عم بحكي أما عم بحضر أما عم بعمل شو ما كان, I'm giving them the okay to do it. I'm giving them the green light to do it. So unfortunately, يعني, and again, this is not coming from a judgmental way because I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to everybody. نحن بنحط boundaries لحالنا, and we have to model these boundaries. When was the last time any of us grabbed a book وقعدنا بالصالون قدام ولادنا وقرينا الكتاب؟ حتى الكتاب صرنا عم نقريه على device. So let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to the roots. When was the last time نزلنا وقعدنا بالبارك نحن ولادنا أما نزلنا تمشينا برا بلا ما ناخد تليفوننا معنا? Let's teach them to disconnect by role modeling disconnecting. And that we are the biggest examples for our children. And the only way we can set boundaries, نحن اليوم ولادنا كتير ذكية وفيهم يطلعوا فينا ويقولوا ما أنتوا عم تعملوا هيك، ليه نحن بحبكم هنا نعمل هيك زي أنتوا عم تعملوا هيك؟ وما فينا نقول لهم I'm an adult, you're not, because the way it's affecting them, it's affecting us as well. And they know that. and they're a lot smarter, and they have, like I said, they have a lot of knowledge from these social media platforms, so they know a lot more than they did 10 years ago. So we have to be the right role models for our children. But definitely هذا هو الموضوع أكتر شيء مؤسف إنه we need to be role modeling these things for our children.
alright. رح ناخد معك آخر سؤال وننقل على الروم. عنا كمان سؤال اجينا عن ADHD رح نحكي فيه أكتر in the room. سؤالنا لإلك، أي عمر بتنصحي الأهل يعطوا تليفون لأولادهم إذا اليوم في أهل عم تسمعنا وبعد يعني عم بيفكروا أمتين يعطوا هالفون للأولاد؟
هذا سؤال كتير حساس لأنه it depends on الأهل شو بدهم كل واحد منهم وليه عم بيعطوا تليفون. إذا بدنا نسأل the average number today، إذا عم نحكي ببلاد وين الولاد بيمشوا بيروحوا وحدهم أكيد بكير. إذا عم نحكي ببلد وين ولادنا are not alone on their own and they are protected by an adult wherever they go, the later we wait, the better it is. Is there a specific number? لا، لأنه أنا as a parent, I caved into the peer pressure of mommy, all my friends have phones, why can't I have a phone? لأنه at the end of the day, as a parent, I did not want my child to be not, fitting in and not being a part of the social group. But it's not about أي عمر, it's about preparing them مظبوط. مثل ما أنا بعلمه لابني يسوق السيارة، أنا بدي أعلم ابني when I feel he is ready to be responsible enough to follow the rules and stick to the rules responsibly, then it's the right age to give them the device. بس مش نعطيهم device we trust them with it. It's not a matter of we don't trust them. It's a matter of, are they able to be responsible digital citizens? And if they are not, then they should not have a phone. If they are able to be responsible and they can fit into the rules, مثل ما قلت لكم, there are benefits of having technology in our children's lives. But as long as it's within boundaries, ومنعرف إنه هالولد قادر يحمل مسؤولية هالديفايس اللي عم ينعطى إياها.
alright. كتير واضح. رح نفرجي بس الاتنديز معنا كيف ينقلوا على الروم. رح نفتح الدسكشن معك in the room.
Great.
عنا أسئلة أكتر عن يمكن اليوم inappropriate content إذا شافوا الأولاد شو لازم ينعمل. أسئلة كمان على ال cyberbullying. Can you see my screen?
Ready.
Okay.
Yes.
alright.
Yes.
So قدامكم على التليفون رح يبين عندكم بالمنيو round table, salon, rooms. So بتكبسوا على روم رح تشوفوا روم اسمها teens and social media. بهيدي الروم مثل ما قلنا ما في تسجيل، احنا رح نوقف التسجيل هلا. ما في تسجيل، وفيكم تحكوا معنا على الكاميرا على الميكروفون او حتى تسالونا through chat اسئلتكم anonymously كمان تتحافظوا على هويتكم. So it's a safe space. أهم شيء إنه تنقلوا معنا تنكفي حديثنا مع مايا ونسألها كل الأسئلة اللي عنا إياها ونحكي بكيسز معينة إذا بتحبوا تشاركونا خبرتكم. So مايا رح وقف الريكوردينج، رح ننقل على الروم سوا. See you in a bit.
Okay, great.